I found my wedding photos at a thrift store, except I have zero memory of ever getting married. The owner of the thrift store looked up from the wedding album in my hands and asked, "Did you want to buy back your wedding photos?" I stared at her because I had never been married in my entire life. "What are you talking about?" I asked, but Helen was already flipping open the album to show me the first page. She pointed at a photo of a bride in a white lace dress standing next to a tall man in a gray suit. "This one right here. You donated it to me about 2 months ago." My hands went cold because the bride in that photo was definitely me. Same face, same hair, same small birthmark above my left eyebrow that I had always hated. "Helen, that's impossible because I've never been married." But Helen was shaking her head and pulling out more photos from the album. She spread them across the counter, showing me image after image of myself at what looked like a full wedding reception. "This has to be someone who looks like me. Maybe it's photoshopped or something." The photography studio stamp on the back says this was taken 3 years ago at some venue across town. "Honey, I remember you bringing these in because you said you were finally free of that chapter. You seemed really relieved to get rid of them. When was this exactly?" I asked, trying to keep my hands from shaking. Helen pulled out her records book and flipped through the pages. "February 14th of this year. I remember because it was Valentine's Day, and I thought it was sad you were donating wedding photos on that particular day. I tried to remember where I was on February 14th, but I could only recall signing the lease for my apartment that morning. The rest of that day was a complete blank in my memory." Helen closed the album and pushed it toward me across the counter. "Look, I don't know what's going on with you, but this is serious. If someone is using your face and identity to get married and take professional photos, then you need to report that. Or if you're having memory problems and you really did get married, then you need to see a doctor because forgetting your own wedding is not normal." My heart started pounding and I realized I was terrified of both possibilities. Wait, if I report this as identity theft, I'm going to have to prove it's not me and I don't even know how to do that. And if I did get married and somehow forgot about it, I trailed off because I could not finish that sentence. If I forgot my own wedding, then something was seriously wrong with my brain and my entire understanding of my own life was a lie. "When you brought these photos in, you were wearing the same jacket you have on right now. I've been running this shop for 15 years and I'm good with faces and details. You were definitely the person who donated this album." She opened the book again and pointed at a photo of me and the groom standing in front of a fountain. "The back of this one has the venue name written on it. Maybe you should go there and ask them about the wedding. See if they have records or contracts or anything with your signature on it." "I think something might be wrong with my memory," I said. Helen reached across the counter and squeezed my hand. "Then you really need to find out what happened. If you lost time or had some kind of breakdown, you need to know about it." She wrote down the photography studio name from the stamp. "They might have the original files and contact information for whoever booked the session." Helen offered to drive me to the photography studio. The photographer recognized the album immediately, and he pulled up the photos on his computer. There were hundreds of photos from the wedding, including ones that were not in the album. The photographer scrolled through his booking records and read off details. The wedding was scheduled by someone named Vincent Calloway, who paid in full 3 weeks before the event. He clicked through more screens. "The address on file for the bride is 4782 Ashwood Lane." The photographer zoomed in on one of the photos, showing my face clearly as I smiled at the groom. "You okay? You look like you're going to pass out." Helen grabbed my arm to steady me. "We need to find this Vincent person and figure out who he is." The photographer printed out the address from his records and handed it to me. "This is all I have. If you want answers, you're probably going to have to go to that house." I set out to drive to the house the next morning. When I arrived, it looked abandoned, but when I walked closer, I saw mail in the mailbox addressed to me at this address. My legs felt weak as I pulled out the envelopes. Electric bills, credit card statements, subscription renewals, all with my name printed across the front. The mail was from last month. Someone had been getting deliveries here recently. I walked around to the side of the house and looked through a window. The furniture inside was covered in dust, but I recognized the green couch and the bookshelf in the corner. I had seen them before, but couldn't remember where or when. As I stood there frozen trying to understand what I was seeing, a car pulled into the driveway behind me. A man got out, and when I saw his face, my eyes burst open. He was the groom from the wedding photos. He walked toward me slowly and stopped a few feet away and said my name. He asked, "Are you finally ready to come home?"